I'm Victoria Cooksey, and today we're going to be talking about alkalized cocoa powder versus natural, and also when to use the chemical leaveners, baking soda and baking powder, and how those work with the cocoa powders. Now this video, whether you're into craft chocolate or not, it's for everybody if you're into baking, but if you are into craft chocolate, you might want to check out my blog, Dark Matters Chocolate Reviews, for part 1 and part 2 that I did a long time ago on baking with craft chocolate, with lots of really cool interviews with great chocolate makers. And if you happen to have seen Cacao Magazine issue number 3 last year, I have a baking with single origin chocolate article in there as well. So if you want to go more the craft side, that's for you. So let's talk about the cocoa powders. Now for the purpose of this video, if I say cocoa or cacao powder, consider it the same thing. What you'll find though is typically like store-bought ones or certain brands will say cocoa powder, and the craft chocolate world tends to say cacao powder. So how do you know if it's alkalized? Well, if it's alkalized, it's going to say either Dutch processed, or on the back it's going to actually say processed with alkali. Now what that means is when they process it with alkali, they take all the acidity out. So the acidity is now gone. Now moving to more natural cocoa powder. If you're in the craft chocolate world, it's going to be non-alkalized. If it says raw, if it says unroasted, if it says natural on it, then you know, okay, it's non-alkalized and it's got all the acidity still in it. So alkalized, acidity gone, natural, acidity stays. Now how does this work with baking soda and baking powder? Well, your baking soda needs a liquid and an acid to activate this leavener. So you're going to use baking soda with your natural, your craft, your unroasted cacao powders. But if the recipe only calls for baking powder, well, baking powder is cool because it brings its own acidity to the party. So therefore, if a recipe calls for alkalized cocoa, or if you're not sure if it is, then just look, and if baking powder is the only thing in there for the leavener, you know, okay, go with alkalized. And if you wonder how baking powder works, it happens to be like this one's double acting. So when it combines with the liquid, and then when it hits the heat of the oven, there's the second activation. So if you ever see someone go, okay, the minute you mix this with the liquid, get it right in the oven, that's why, because you don't want to lose your second activation. What if the recipe says use baking powder and baking soda? Well, then you're still going to go with alkalized. So as a refresher and a review, alkalized, go with the baking powder, or if it says baking powder and baking soda. If it says natural, if it says craft chocolate, if it says raw, if it says unroasted, or if it doesn't say at all, but it only has baking soda for the leavener, now you know which one to go with. And what's important to note is this is, again, only like in like batter-based recipes, say like cakes, maybe brownies, that really rely on the baking soda or baking powder for the lift. If it's something you're dealing with like folding in egg whites or using yeast, or has all this other acidity like, you know, sour cream or things like that, then you don't have to worry so much about it. And when it comes to drinking chocolate or making hot cocoa, you don't have to worry about it either, because then you're just looking for which one do you like the taste of. So hopefully that helped clarify that a bit. Now let me know in the comments below what cocoa powders, cacao powders you've tried, you like, which ones you'd like to try, and what are you baking currently. Alright, go get baking, go buy a bunch of cocoa powders, and I will see you on a future video. And be sure to hit like to this video, hit subscribe, and do share. And leave me a comment below. Thank you. Bye-bye.